right. Hello and welcome, everyone. A very good evening to all of you, and a warm welcome to the webinar on scientific temper. If you can hear me clearly, please put in the chat yes. Okay, we have some good news. Okay, great. So people can hear me. So as we usually do, let's start with a chatathon. Okay, we call it chatathon. So please tell us quickly, where are you from, so that we know where are people joining us from. Okay, Coimbatore, Noida, Bangalore, Nellore, Rohini, Greater Noida, Bangalore, Noida, Chitrakul School, Bangalore. Okay, Delhi. Okay, Faridabad. Very nice. Tell us, what is your professional role? Teacher, teacher, donor relations at NGO, facilitator, teacher, a mother and a teacher, or mother teacher. Okay, vice principal, academic admin and teacher. Great. And on the personal note, tell us, how are you feeling? So complete the sentence in the chat. Today I am feeling. Today I am feeling teacher. Great. On top of the world. I'm feeling tired. Oh, okay. Very cold. Yeah. North is cold. Great. Top of the world. Happy. Awesome. Excited. Enthusiastic. Curious. Top of the world. A lot of people are on top of the world. Satisfied already. Okay. The webinar has not even started, and we will also ensure that you do feel that by the end of the day. Cloud nine. Oh my God. Okay. Eager. Very cold. Yeah. All the people in North, I'm sure you're feeling cold. Great. So with that note, I'm already feeling excited, knowing how everybody is feeling. Reading this chat only, I'm feeling excited. So let me introduce who's with me as speakers today. The first speaker we have is Vishnu Kant, who is the founder of Propel Curriculum. Along with Vishnu, we have Dr. N. Ramkumar um, from Agastya International Foundation. And I am Nikhil Juneja, who's a design thinking specialist and a life and leadership coach, also representing Propel on this webinar. To start with, we have, so to make it exciting for all of us and to also get a context on what we are going to talk about, we have a poll for you. Okay, so is everyone ready? I will stop sharing the screen, and I will put the questions on the poll. So everybody be ready. The first poll today we have is on, what does scientific temper mean as per you? Okay, so one second, you will just see it on your screen. Here it is. You have 20 seconds to answer it. What does scientific temper mean? Memorizing the knowledge given in the books written by scientists is the first option. Second option is believing what teachers and elders tell us from their experience. Third option is being curious, asking questions, exploring to seek out answers. Fourth option is loving every living being and caring for one and all. And the last option is mastering the subject science. So, what, as per you, is scientific temper? We'll wait for 10 more seconds. We'll keep it on the screen. About 61% people have already answered. Let's wait for 8 more seconds. 67% people have answered. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. With that, you see the results on your screen. Here it is. And while we have answers on all the options, but the maximum people think it's about being curious, asking questions, exploring to seek out answers. With that, let me invite Vishnu. Um, as we've seen, what is this result for the first poll? Vishnu, why don't you set the context for the day, and then we will move on to the second poll. Vishnu, you're on mute. Let me try. Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right. So good evening, everybody. And Happy New Year. We've just begun. Looking forward to an exciting year. Um, so now I'm very excited to see that, okay, sometimes it can get very boring to have most people giving the right answers, okay? So, yes, you've said that being curious, inquiring, asking questions, finding the truth, finding out what is the truth is being having scientific mind, having scientific bent of mind, or having scientific temper. So today's this webinar, what we call experiential webinar, XWebinar, is really going to be, I mean, it's not something that totally new concept. Most of us have heard about it, and many of us have time and again demonstrated scientific bent of mind or scientific temper. However, I think, and the research proves it, that almost all of us have this problem that we lose track and we become unscientific. We lose that scientific inquiring, temperament. So we are going to explore that today, what it means and how to do it inside the classroom. It's a very, very important and a valuable topic which gets mentioned in Constitution of India as well as NEP 2020 that came out last year, and therefore it has become important. Although I'm hoping that there will be renewed vigor in making it happen inside the classrooms. Yeah. So let's look at some of the some simple examples to just understand what it means by scientific. What 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 is the meaning of having a scientific temper? And we're just going to do a little bit of activity with you, and then we will. Yeah. So can we have the visual cues to?
Yes,
So
Vishnu.
we're going to show you.
Yeah. So the
Go
first
ahead.
one, so I'll open a presentation and there are some pictures that you will see on the screen now. And there is a question. And I will also launch a poll and let's see, let's answer the question in the poll. Okay. Here is the poll. No, I think let's not do it on the poll. Let's do it in the chat. So in the chat, please answer which girl needs a bigger hat. And this is a rapid fire round. I will quickly keep changing the screen and I will keep asking more questions. So in the chat, we can see A or B. Okay, so okay, A, B, both need the same size. Somebody says, okay, but okay, both need a bigger hat. Is that what you mean? Okay, both of them need a bigger hat. Is that what you're saying, or both need the same?
Same hat.
That's yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because some people
I think
said
so.
it same, but some people are saying both need a bigger hat. Okay, great. Quickly, now the next question on your screen. Here it is. Which is the longer stroke, A or B? Okay, A, B, 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 both are same. Somebody says B, B, they are the same, both B, B. So maximum people are saying B. So, very few people said A. A lot of people are saying, few people are saying both are the same size. Okay, great. Next question on your screen. What do you see in this picture? Respond in the chat box. What do you see in this picture? Okay. Somebody says lady, somebody says boy, somebody says face. Okay. So face, body, or lady. Can you guess the age of this face, whether it's a girl or a boy?
Leaves.
Yeah, somebody says leaves, somebody says mountains. So, okay, if it's a lady, then is it a young lady or an old lady? Please quickly share. Somebody says teenage, young girl, age is
Someone said
10.
45.
Somebody said 45, 7 to 9. Maximum people are saying it's a young lady, age 7 to 10. And somebody's, oh, yeah, maximum responses we have is young. And
He's
some,
heartbroken.
wow, somebody can,
Abhishek.
yeah, Abhishek could also do face reading. Wow. Um, 13, 8. It's strange, maximum people are saying young. And
So Ishita says it's an old lady, so she sees it very differently from the young girl.
yeah, and Jharna has seen two,
Okay.
a young and a old. Okay, Ishita is saying both can be seen. Maximum people are still saying young. Okay, okay, okay. Next question. What do you see here? Oh, somebody said sad girl for the previous one. Okay,
Yeah.
so elephant and
Elephant
goat,
or both?
both. So is the left one the elephant or the right one the elephant?
Who's left?
Cow and elephant, both. Okay, it's merged. Left one is elephant. Okay, okay, okay. Last question for today. Are both the covers of the books of same length and width? Yes and no and maybe. Okay, so mixed responses again. Great. So I think that was the last question for today in this series. And I would now, Vishnu, you saw that we have mixed
Yeah.
responses.
So I need. I want to take you through each of these very quickly to just show what we are basically trying to. I mean, what the pictures tell me. Okay, and then you'll probably see what I'm saying is that when we receive an information or we receive an experience, what happens?
Yeah.
What do you tend to do when you? Okay.
Yeah. So let's see first. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So since Nicholas said this, now you look at these two. All right. Okay. So Abhishek has quickly gone ahead and answered perception differs for people, but that is not what I'm saying. All right. So very good. I go ahead and say what you want to say. Okay. So look at this. All right. And look at the original, what we looked at. I mean, what Nikhil showed. Um, Next, Nikhil. Right. Okay. What is it that we are trying to communicate through this? That is the important part that we have done. So I would like you to think for a second and say, okay, and let's see what, and just put it in the chat box because we don't have time to hear. I would so much have preferred to hear from you. What is the message that you get, that you look at something and it is not, it appears to be something, but it is not so. So perception, yeah, go ahead. Suman has said perception, go ahead. What else?
Brotherhood.
So write a
Brotherhood.
sentence. What do you mean? What is brotherhood? Abhishek. Okay, so write the sentence. Okay, picture explains better than, okay. Perception. Yeah, different perspectives. Okay. Anything else? Yeah, critical. Also, okay, Parvati is saying critical thinking. So Parvati and maybe some other people who are saying something, maybe you want to write. I mean, I would like if you just write a sentence why you think it is so. And when Rukmini says it's illusion, what does it mean by that? What do you mean by that? Yeah. Okay, we are different in appearance only. All right. Okay. All right, so I see a lot of it coming from a certain level that perceptions are different. We see different perspective, we imagine things, and so on and so forth. We all are different, etc. But the message that comes to me, and that is important, what we saw is that you look at the image first, something comes to your mind, and you go ahead. So you call it, it's compassion, different perspective. It is showing old lady, young lady, whatever it is. But when do you really come to know of it as what exactly it is? Okay, that is the important part. So I want you to answer this question. When you see something, an impression comes to your mind that this is so, okay, this is a bull, no, this is an elephant, or this is an old lady, this is the young lady. So do you run with it, or do you stay and observe it a little more closely to see actually what it is? So I want people to tell me, what do you generally do when you look at something? Stay and observe. Amardeep, stay and observe. Observe keenly, keen observation. Observe closely. We try to find out more. Focus. We look closely. Observe. Very nice. Very nice. Observe. Yeah. Observe closely. Concentrate. Observe. Beautiful. All right. Okay. Closely. Try to find out more. Very good, Koeli. Thank you. Okay. Try to correct and observe, analyze. Parvati saying, very beautiful. Stay and observe. Ruchi, very good. All right. Relate to the previous knowledge and understand. Very, very good. All right. Go ahead. Observe closely. Think. Okay. What is thinking? Very good. Okay. So here is what is an important thing that we're saying. And all of you seem to be saying that, okay, when I look at something, I observe it. Okay. Stay in and observe. Assimilate. Now, that broadly would be called having a scientific temperament. That you don't just take the first impression and begin to make claims. Oh, this is the old lady. No, 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 no. I can 100% tell you that this is the young girl. Or this is the bull. No, 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 no. You're wrong. This is an elephant. Now, when we begin to make those claims without having, okay, without having, gathered closely, without having critically thought about it, you would call that behavior as unscientific behavior, or a behavior which is not scientific, suited to scientific temperament. And that is the important part of it. Okay, we can close the screen, the slide show. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, and this is an important thing, that as teachers, or as any human being who is learning, the way we learn is when we observe something closely, when we ask questions, when we go into something. Okay, that is also, so that is the only way you learn about something. That is the only way it reveals its nature to you. And that would be called having a scientific temperament, rather than quickly, watching something, interpreting it with our old thinking, past knowledge, etc., and just running with it, making claims of it. So that is an important part of it. Now, I want to give you a couple of examples. So how many of us really, okay, look around and observe? So how many of you have questioned when you hear he, black cat is a bad omen, or when you're stepping out to do some good work, and if a cat crosses your path, then that is bad omen, right? Heard but don't believe. All right, Abhishek is saying, but how many of you believe something similar to that? Okay, It's very important because यहाँ पे बोल देते हैं never believed. Very nice. Okay. All right. How about number 13 being inauspicious? Okay. Shweta Bhati is saying sometimes I believe. Thank you for being honest. Okay. Ishita is saying it's only mindset. I don't believe. Very nice. Okay. I do believe in number 13. Okay. Somebody is saying. So you see, now suddenly from everybody watching to half of you is saying sometimes I believe because an incident has happened. Okay. Sometimes I believe because that is when believe when experience happens. All right. But how do you know if one experience become how can you form a universal belief from one or two or several experiences, right? So that's very important. Okay. So somebody is saying not believe, don't believe. Somebody is saying yes, believe in number 13. So world across, okay. So देखिए अभी many people saying believe because it happens when negative things happen because our parents believe. Yes, the parents told us, teachers told us, leaders told us. Okay, somebody told us. You saw what happened 2 days, 3 days back in US. Okay, Trump told them. Okay, you know, injustice has been done to us, and so his followers stormed into their okay
Capitol Hill.
assembly.
Yeah, Capitol Hill.
Capitol Hill. So that is what we tend to believe when it is coming from sources that we put as authority, as teachers, as leaders, as gurus, and scriptures, and religious gurus, authorities. Whenever we believe something without questioning, whenever we believe something and act out of that without having rigorously invested our attention into it, okay, in our Ramakrishna values. Okay. So those values have also been received. Unless you understand something, if you believe it, then that would be considered not having scientific temper, not having rational mind. So what we are basically talking is a bade bade shabd hai, okay? Fundamentally, do you really look at something and understand something for yourself, or do you tend to believe somebody else saying? And I personally, I mean, I was brought up with people who would say, if you don't exercise rigor and examine some things for yourself, then you are lazy. Okay? It is our laziness or convenience, call it whatever you want. Okay? But when we are not examining something ourselves, then we are being lazy, we are operating from convenience, and then we will make mistakes or whatever, but we will not learn, we will not understand. Right? So you have to question. I mean, some of you say, punishment से बच्चे पढ़ते हैं, okay, डंडे से बच्चे पढ़ते हैं, some of those things, okay, we have just received. Okay, I love the way Sandhya goes. Yes, I love it. Yeah, it's so important. Do we really question that and understand how come, okay, the 13 number has become so everybody, okay, you want to do some good work, let's go to what is that temple in south, the big temple where everybody goes?
So many others.
Tirupati.
Tirupati.
Let's go to Tirupati. Okay. Tirupati will get this done. From prime minister to presidents to Amitabh Bachchan to every Tom, Dick. I mean, everybody goes there. Look at this strength of that. Okay. Vimla, congratulations. She says, I married on 13th and I am happy. All right. Good one, good one. So I don't know, in north it is not so much. In south, some states like Karnataka and Maharashtra have had this very strong rationalist movement. Even in Bengal, strong rationalist movements where people question these, because some of these beliefs, okay, my parents said you have to have 10 children. Okay, girls, you're all girls. Okay, girls should not be given the parental property, because anyway when marriage is happening they're given a lot of dowry. Okay, so the girls are not supposed to, it's very interesting. Look at this strong belief that when people began to question the Dahej, what did they say? They didn't go all the way. They said, Dulhan hi Dahej hai. Not questioning the idea of Dahej, only transferring that item to something else. Now look at this whole interesting thing. So dowry idea itself is not being questioned. Just converting, okay, the girl itself is the dowry. Now that is so strong. That is the strength of that belief. Now you can call it a cultural belief, religious belief. Flat number is 13 and I'm happy to Uttara Mishra. Very nice, very good. Okay, so Uttara and others, I want you to know that you are more scientific than ISRO. Okay, our prominent, the most known, popular scientific organization which launches their rockets every year.
Space
You're
research.
more rational and more scientific. Do you know, have you ever heard that the space vehicle 13, there is space SLV 10, 11, 9, 8, and then 14, 15, no 13. Have you heard of that? Can you believe that the scientists, okay, being scientists, and yet they have this superstition that 13 number is bad. So SLV 13 was never made. Okay, that's so I'm glad that many of you are very, I mean, you think scientifically. All right. So there are so many examples, and okay, somebody is saying my lucky, Meenal is saying 13 is my lucky number. Okay. Okay, so Meenal, that is the another belief. Okay. From this being unlucky to being lucky. So the luck, the very luck itself needs to be questioned. Meenal is an old friend. Oh, Parvati saying I married on 13th birthday. Okay, and it is on 30. What? You married when you were 13? Okay, all right. Is that so? Okay. Right. So important thing. Now, what we are going to do, we are going to look at some of these common beliefs that we have, okay? And we carry, now this requires a bit of being open, which is basically having scientific mind, having, opening our thinking, and look at ourselves that what are these, beliefs. So I don't know how many of you remember the Ganesh drinking milk incident. Okay, so Vimla remembers, okay, Meenal remember. Okay, so do you remember, not just in India, across the world, Canada, England, America, the Ganesh was drinking milk, okay? Now that is the interesting part, that millions of gallons of milk were collected and poured. So much so that there was shortage of milk, and because of that, people began to raise hue and cry. Otherwise, they were not so interested, okay? But when milk ki supply khatam ho gayi, then people said, this is not good, okay? The God is drinking all the milk and cows gave it to us. It is our birthright, okay? How come the God takes it away? Then they woke up, the governments, the scientists, they began to question. And then, of course, they explored and they saw it was simple capillary action and some surface tension that happened that actually made the milk kind of go up. And so simple, okay? So you have this everywhere. I mean, we have had some of the worst experiences in India, in some of the other societies, but right now we can going to kind of limit ourselves. This is everywhere, by the way, okay? I mean, you can look it up. There's so many of them, of these beliefs, which run contrary to any scientific thinking. And these countries where they exist are not backward societies. They are technologically very advanced. So we will look at it. Oh, I think there was a video where Professor Yashpal says that science is increasing, technology is increasing, but scientific thinking is decreasing, okay? We are not thinking rationally, okay? So it's a very important thing. I think if there is time, then we'll show you that video. Okay, all right. So now we are going to go into small groups and look at some of the beliefs that we have, okay? And then see how does it come in the in action and the kind of consequences. It's very important. As teachers, we carry the burden of teaching children to think rationally. It is our job. We cannot expect parents to do it, but it's our job. Therefore, it is for us to know how we live. So some of the beliefs that we carry on as in our personal lives, our friends, families, and students. Nikhil, could you just introduce the activity? And then we go into the groups. Nikhil is
Yes.
going to explain the activity.
Thank you, Vishnu. While we heard a lot of people saying that we stop and we pause and we observe before we do anything, but research says otherwise. There are so many researches which talk about right now that the fake news spreads 10 times faster than real news. So how is it that the moment we see a fake news coming on WhatsApp or anywhere in the WhatsApp university, it spreads like fire? So yeah, while everybody's saying here that it'll be a good thing to observe what happens when we hear something which sounds exciting to us or which gives us fear, and what fear makes us do, how do we believe what we believe. So and in the activity also, I think it'll be nice to keep that in mind. So everybody, I will put you into 12 groups, and you will have approximately 9 to 12 people along with you, and with those 9 to 12 people you will have to discuss something. I will open a slide and I will share what you have to discuss. But before I even tell you the question, there is something that I want to share so that the discussions go well in the slide. And here is what I am sharing with everybody. It's said that when you look at this, you have good discussions. So using scientific temper on that also. Let's see. Here is the activity.
This is a classic example of belief which is prevalent everywhere. Okay, चाहे ये लटकाएं या जूता कार के आगे ट्रक के आगे जूता लटकाएं वगैरह. Go ahead.
Okay, so moving on. Here is the activity. 5 minutes you'll be in the breakout room. Individually think of a belief or an assumption that either you or someone around you had. And
I'm going to write these questions.
Yeah. And as you were growing up, you realized it was all crap. So any belief that you had since your childhood, you lived by that a lot of years. But as you were growing up, you realized that this was completely crap. And so you have to discuss this. And when you come back, we will hear it from each group. Now I will assign breakout rooms.
Nikhil, the next part of the activity they'll do after they come back?
Yeah, if you want to share, you can share now. What do you want them to do?
I think the next part of the activity was connected to doing what after this. After they have discussed this belief, how will they do it in the classroom? How will they engage with children?
Yeah, I was thinking that we'll do when they come back, but we can
Okay.
actually. So maybe the two parts to this can be, once you discuss this belief, also think about what will happen if you hear a child having this kind of a belief in the classroom, and what is the right way of handling it. So how do you find out what beliefs children are carrying in the classroom, and what are the right ways of talking about it? Because the moment you challenge anybody's beliefs, it's a sensitive thing. So how do you challenge that? Now, 5 minutes breakout room activity. I have created the rooms. You will receive a pop-up on your screen. And now you have to press join. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you enjoyed your discussions. Please say thanks to people who were in your group for their time and their sharing. Okay. Now, how many people remember their group number? Which group are you in? Great. So people in group 1. Okay. Where is Vishnu? Vishnu, can we hear a hello from you?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Yeah, great. So Vishnu, would you like to hear what they discussed? And
so I recognize that it was a lot of fun listening to this. So in my group, I was sharing something. I want to just I want to complete it because I feel bad that I could not complete it. So we were sharing. Oh yeah, in Kerala, did you know that 9 is considered the bad number?
Oh, is it?
Okay, I got to know that today. Okay.
I didn't know.
In my group. Yeah, that is what was shared in my group. One, some George, I don't remember her full name. What was it? Who shared? One, Resimol George.
Yeah.
She shared.
You know,
Right. Yeah. So
maybe because
yeah.
of the direction of the sun, like there is different time zones as you go above far from
No.
equator.
So
Maybe from 13 to 9.
So what Nikhil is doing is exactly what we often get to do: justify our biases. Okay, we just begin to, left, right, center, either which way, but we begin to justify. No. And when we don't get justified, no. Ancestors must have something. Of course, they must have had something, but that doesn't make it right now. Okay, yes, there must have been some reason. Okay, so I don't know what was the reason, but so you find out now, or at least stop following it blindly.
So Vishnu,
Not that it's such a big.
Vishnu, I don't need a reason as long as I have this picture with me. I am feeling secure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So we will go every group by group, and we will take only 15 seconds for each group. So group number one, who would like to share? Quickly decide in your groups who would be sharing. So group number one, who would like to share what insights you have from us, what you discussed, and what do you think is the best way to do this in the classroom? How to challenge in the right way? Group number one.
So I don't know. Right now, it seems there was some disturbance in the group in the way that, I mean, the group that I was in. So I think what we could do is, instead of doing this, maybe anybody who got some idea, insight in during the sharing could share that. Okay,
I
about
think
beliefs and about having and about the fact that you came to as you grow up, and experiences actually broke that belief. Okay, so maybe they could talk about that. Yeah.
Sure.
I think everyone's muted by the host. So if we can unmute, and then people will be able to share.
Yeah. Okay.
Folks, you
Unmute.
can raise your hand and then we will unmute you.
Oops. But can you unmute everybody?
Okay, now I have allowed you to unmute.
So, Abhishek and Vimla are raising their hands. Netra is raising her hand. Yeah.
Let's go with Abhishek. Yeah.
Okay. So in
Go
our
ahead.
group, hello everyone. So we were from group number 3, and we discussed certain points, and we have come to the conclusion that we should discuss with these things with our students. And apart from this, we should also discuss that what are the rationalities that we can opt to minimize these situations from our life.
Right.
I'm also from the same group, Suman Mishra. I would like to add in here that what we realized while we were discussing with each other, that if there were certain beliefs, there were some reasons for those beliefs. And children should find out that what were the reasons prevalent back those days when these beliefs were initiated, and which are not prevalent anymore now, so they can be discarded. So like he said that we should rationalize, yes, we should, but we should also find out the reasons behind them, that why. Like, I just share one example. One of our participants shared that it is considered as a bad omen to broom the house in the evenings. So that could be a reason, because in the olden days, people used to wear a lot of jewelries and all, and if something falls down and there used to be no bulb light or anything, so it's gone, it's considered as gone. Like if you just broom the house and throw it away, it's gone. So Lakshmi is gone. So nowadays we have like enough light in the house, we can broom it, and we can see also that if anything is lost, we can actually pick it up. So those beliefs which were prevalent, and because of those, these myths have been created कि शाम को झाड़ू लगाएंगे तो लक्ष्मी चली जाएगी. They don't stand true in today's scenario. So these are the things we should discuss with children, not only with this one example. There are many examples why they were there prevalent that time and how we can discard them now because situations have changed.
I think Vishnu, there's one interesting point she mentioned, something about the importance of context, the particular time of context when the belief got originated. I think that's a fascinating
Yes.
point.
So
Thank you for
whether
bringing
it
this
is relevant today or not, very important, extremely
Yeah,
important. Yes.
Thank
yes.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
up. Very important point.
Yeah, go ahead. I think there's some two other people who had. Vimla,
Hello,
go ahead.
everyone. Hello, everyone.
Yes,
I am Vimala. Actually, I'm from group 9, room number 9. Actually, we discussed like some of the blind beliefs we have for solar eclipse or lunar eclipse, as well as the horoscope. As I've already shared, I was married on 13th, and my parents compared the horoscope of my hubby, and it was very much, it was in sync. But later I got to know after the marriage, the horoscope was wrong. I mean, they had given the wrong one. But later, after I got married also, even though I got to know the horoscope was wrong, I just tried to, compare, and it was very less. This one sync was very less. But I didn't bother about it. I just continued with my life, my happy life. That one thing. And another thing, at the same time, some of the things are there which we have to believe. I have noticed a child, we say buri nazar, a child was crying very badly, and after they did this, what do you say, nazar utarna, the child
Mirchi
fell
jalana.
asleep.
Okay.
So that both the ways it is there. Sometimes we need to believe, and sometimes it is not good that we believe some of the things. So both the ways I say I support. Sometimes we have to believe.
Yes,
And
it is
sometimes,
surprising. Yes, it works. This Nazar Utarna, it does
yes.
work for children. Yes, even I have observed it for both of my kids.
I am thinking that I think the child stopped crying because he was thinking, until I stop crying, these guys will not stop doing this.
So therefore it worked.
Or
So,
maybe
Suman,
it's our own psychology. We feel that since we have done this, now it will get relieved, and now everything is fine. Maybe
No,
it's
but everything
working
has
that
a
way.
reason. Everything has a
on a
reason
psyche.
behind it. I think.
Yeah, it's working on a psyche. Maybe.
Yeah.
And this statement is I think this statement is also very dangerous, that everything has a reason behind it, must be a reason, because this is where scientific temper is getting lost. So
Yeah,
where
so-
are we challenging it?
I think it's yeah, I think everything is a reason, which means that everything has some cause, but is it a valid one or not? Okay, so this is an important thing. When we put when we are examining something, then we just don't put things and say, okay, so it's like this is okay. There is not much time to tell you jokes, but the connections have to be shown very, very clearly, directly linked to each other. So it can't be because my father was doing it, therefore I am doing it. Now that cannot be a cause and effect relationship. Okay. So then you say that I chose to believe what my father was doing. And that could be the reason that I chose to believe. Now the question is, why did you choose to believe? Were you lazy? Did you think you're incapable of understanding? Why? Or did you just kind of not have enough time? It was convenient for you to believe. Because wherever it matters, we do exercise enough reason, don't we? You want to go and buy tomato in the market, you do go to 10 shops or 3 shops, check which one is best and which one is most reasonably priced. So if we can exercise that amount of rigor in buying tomatoes, why would you not exercise in choosing lives of our partners? Like, who do you want to marry? Horoscope jiska milega usko. You don't know the person. Okay, I have an interesting study about horoscope that I will share after this sharing is done.
So,
Yeah.
so just something that I thought I thought was important to share from my side. Just one example from my own life, where I remember a loved one being sick, and me in it. It was so difficult at that time, and it was such high fever that I got really scared, and I went about holy water dhundna or uh, rosary leke aana and all of, and I did all of that. Okay. And eventually the person after a day's time got better. But why am I sharing this right now? It is always this debate in my mind at that point of time, that what am I operating from? I'm operating from my fear. The fear is so strong that I latch on to a belief that just by drinking this holy water, which is just actually, they've just taken normal water in church and they've given it from church. So just by giving that to somebody, that person will get better. Or wo alag baat hai, the person was already taking medication. So what is it that is really working? Is the medicine working? Am I open to even exploring that the medicine worked? Or I end up believing that, oh, it was because I gave the holy water, because I did the prayer, that's what worked. So similar case with the
Right.
बच्चों की नजर उतारने वाला जो होता है. So yeah, that's
No,
it.
but one thing, Vishnu, Agnes brought one very interesting thing is the belief and the fear. I
Yeah.
think that's a very interesting thing. Whenever there is a certain belief, there is a fear associated it. I think why do we get into
the
that
belief
mode of fear?
Belief thrives on on fear. Okay.
Yes.
So otherwise you would not believe. The human child, natural human child, simply inquires. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simply inquires. But only when you, so what is it? Then when parents say that there is some secret in one room, then they say, don't open that. Otherwise there will ghost or this, that, and so on, bad omen. Now, you inject that fear and begin
Yeah.
the process of believing. Otherwise, a normal human child is a natural inquirer, will go and try it, test it. Okay. So much so that they can test anything and everything, right? So when does the child begin to believe? So very true. It is the fear that is,
Yes.
so fear is one thing that is almost always. As I said, the other thing is plainly being lazy. Okay. You know, you don't want to do this. You simply say, theek hai, I believe you. Otherwise, why would you? All right. Why would you not check it if it is important? Okay. So there was a question that I want to address. It was by Komal who had put the question, is believing in ritual scientific thinking? What do you say? Believing in rituals.
Here I want to add one thing. I'm not sure, like we are doing rituals in festivals and marriages and all that thing, but somewhere I personally feel they are hindering our scientific thinking. Matlab,
Right.
like we are doing rituals without thinking, is it even right or wrong? We are just doing it. We are not rationally even thinking about that.
Right.
Like for
Absolutely.
example, Suman ma'am earlier was saying that कि रात में झाड़ू लगाना, ठीक है, वो समझ आता है कि पहले के टाइम पे जो रीजन दिए गए कि ज्वेलरी, मतलब इट्स ओके कि लाइक वी आर थिंकिंग कि पहले क्या रीजन था, उस चीज को तब कंटिन्यू किया गया, बट अभी कंटिन्यू करना, इज इट ओके अगर वो चीज सही नहीं है तब? सो लाइक अब हम जो रिचुअल्स फॉलो करते हैं, like what's the reason behind it? Are they scientifically correct or not?
The magic eye, for example, people are making merchandise out of, I mean, making money out of our fear. I mean,
Yes,
how many car
absolutely.
accidents happen with the nimbu and mirchi on them? मतलब ऐसे तो they will never die.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
people
Absolutely.
are
Yes.
buying that magic eye and whatnot. Shani Dev ka wo
In fact,
खरीद कर so that
what you could do,
grow
and there
up
must be some study, go to all the trucks that go do accidents and check whether they have this nimbu and mirch or
Mirchi
not
there.
first.
Yeah.
Okay. How, I mean, the point is simple, that how are they connected in whatever way? There has to be
Logic.
some
Yeah.
or some relationship, right?
Yeah.
How is that connected? So you have to, I mean, you can't just say that I'm holding an arrow, and when I pull it, a bullet shoots through this and bombs America. You know, it doesn't have to be, the arrow and bullet and bomb are three very different things. You don't make connections like that. Okay. So anything wo chalta wala is out of pure laziness or fear. Oh, somebody has said, why question? Pata nahi kya ho jayega? And that fear is injected in us. Yeah. So Komal, you have answered your own question that the rituals. So can we, so at the same time, rejecting something without examining would just be reacting to something, right? So that is not going to bring any understanding. So what we are saying that we begin with, when you look at something, then you just investigate, you look at it, you examine and see where it leads. Yeah. There are other groups, please go ahead and share quickly.
Yeah, may I share, sir?
Yes, Ishita.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
Ishita, I'm
go
Gurjeet.
ahead.
Yeah, I'm Gurjeet Kaur, but I don't know why the name is Ishita Chaudhary here. Okay, I'm Gurjeet, and yeah, basically I don't believe in these things, but I have one thing which I'm following since so long, and that is that if I lost anything, I just make a knot, and then I get it back. And this magical things, not only I am using, my whole family members, and then I started working on it. I just didn't take it like that only. I worked, and then I saw that when I feel that I have made that knot, it's not the magic which is working, it is the belief in me and my mind, that my mind will start work. Because when I feel that yes, I will get it, it means I have given instruction to my mind that I have to get that thing back, and my start will work, my mind will start working and will tell me where I have kept the thing, because I was the one who kept the thing and I forgot. So when I made a knot in the dupatta, it doesn't mean the magic is going on. It's not the magic. So I found that
You're
truth
instructing your
behind it.
mind.
Yeah, we are basically instructing our mind, and the mind is working accordingly. So I always believe that if we are,
Perfect.
yeah, if अगर हम किसी belief को ले रहे हैं तो उसके पीछे कोई logic जरूर है, and we have to find that logic. That's it. Otherwise, there is no such need to follow
Find
something.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that logic, so we have to be just open that logic may not be rational at all. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
That logic may not be relevant at all today. Okay. In different situations. I mean, the whole lot of, the lockdown, the COVID lockdown has told us a whole lot of things. How many of us used to believe there can be absolutely no learning and no teaching, only online? There has to be, if at all, there should be some, face-to-face interactions before you do that. But see how it has broken. So we are also inventing things. All right, next group, anybody?
Sure.
So I think we'll take one more sharing, then we will move on in the interest of time.
Yeah, Shipra?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, if we can see you, it would be nice.
Yes, I'm from group number 11, Paramita Rebos.
Yes, Ben.
Yes, we were actually discussing that we have some beliefs in earlier days, which our grandmother or mother used to tell us that don't cut your nails at night, or
Yes.
don't stitch anything at night. So the main belief in this, because in earlier days we don't used to have electricities, right? So if we stitch or cut anything at night, we might get hurt, might be our finger get hurt, blood used to come. So that's why they used to say that don't do these things at night. But right now we don't have such issues, we all have electricities, so we don't have that issue. So I think these kind of beliefs are now should be neglected or rejected. And one more,
absolutely,
yes, and one more belief that sometimes we used to tell our kids now also, that don't swallow any fruit seeds, otherwise you will have a plant from your stomach. Right? So the main motive is that it should not get stuck into your throat. So these are the beliefs that we used to say.
Right.
If we swallow anything,
Yes. All right. So Right. Yes, Nikhil.
Yes, yes. So they might have stomach ache or it gets stuck in their throat, then they will be having trouble in breathing. So that's why we used to say such things as mothers. So otherwise, there is no scientific reason behind this that you will have a plant from your stomach.
So I think instead of scientific temper, the reasons that we give to kids is usually on what will scare them more.
Yes, exactly.
Because
And that will help them to be safe in somehow.
yeah, so yeah, in a subtle way, what kind of a culture are we creating, and what kind of a
So,
child are we raising? So,
No,
so I
actually,
think fundamentally what
we are talking about kids which are very small, where like 3 years or 4 years, they don't believe on all these logics, right? As they will grow up, they will definitely understand, and we will also help them to understand that why we used to say these things. But as a mother of 2 year or 3 year old child, you can't explain everything to them.
Namaste, I am Ishita, and I would like to add something to this. I was also from her group number 11. Actually, I as a child, I had a very different effect of this. I used to feed my sister, who is only a year and a half younger to me. I used to feed her with lot of watermelon and watermelon seeds because I used to love watermelon. And I really wanted that someday a watermelon plant would come out of her head. But actually that didn't happen. And I'm very sad about that fact.
oh God.
Harvesting watermelon, interesting idea.
Great.
All right. I think we should.
No,
Yeah.
I would just like to
All
add
right.
here, Vishnu sir, you were absolutely right that we as parents do instill fear. I remember as a child telling my son not to go into a dark room, or so out of this thing that he might fall down. And most of my instructions were don't, no, don't. And since my I had a daughter in a 2 years gap, and I could not. I mean, it is good that I could not so much concentrate on her as a parent. I'm really this thing. What I'm saying is, I could not instill that fear in her. So as my child, both my children, as I saw them growing up, I used to see that my son used to hold my daughter's hand and get into a dark room. It was because that I did not instill that fear in my daughter. I did not instill that in her, and I actually saw it that she was less inhibited and less things, so she could explore more. And I compare that with my son, who is totally, if I give an instruction, he follows it like a robot kind of thing, but she is more exploring and doing things. Yes, true, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So we are running out of time. Thank you, Meenal. So I just want to add one or two more things before we go on to the next point. Otherwise, it would be anyway, we are bad in terms of timekeeping. I'm pretty badnaam with that. Everybody knows me. But and I will stick to. Okay. So so we would believe. So we need to understand the psychology of belief, and I'm just going to show one model that I think it explains how it works. And otherwise, these anecdotes are there everywhere. Okay, but what is important is to understand that anything that we receive, okay, unless we understand through examination, through investigation, through seeing things that are their interconnections, with whatever relationship, either cause and effect relationship, part and whole relationship, we need to establish that. Only then we can say safely that, okay. See, many of you in the first poll that happened, only 2% people actually had voted, that I heard from teachers or elders. Now, the point here that sometimes it can be very misconstrued. It can be construed that if I have to show respect to, let's say, Sir Sohel is here, I think Colonel Sohel or whatever. Now, if he said something and I were to simply accept it because he is elder and he is much more experienced, would that respectful belief make me scientific thinking at all? Okay, so very important. The respect cannot be connected to belief. So I want to tell you one little story, which is, I think, something that in my childhood, when I was very young and I was fiercely independent. So one day my mother called me and tells me, you do this for me. And I said, no, it doesn't make sense to me to do. And she said, you're my son. If you don't do this, who will do? Now, this is an interesting thing. She was asking me to do something that did not make sense to me. Okay. So I told her, so there are two parts to it. I think I was very young. I'm your son, that is true. But when I was born, I was also, you gave me birth with a brain inside my head. And I told her exactly this, that when you gave me birth, there was a brain in my head and that brain thinks. Okay, so how can so you tell me whether should I believe or should I follow my brain? And she went quiet. After that, she never pushed me to do something. It's just, so it's very important to differentiate respect from understanding. Okay, understanding is your own and authentic, and it must always stay that. Okay, the respect can be, okay, I mean, so I could tell my mother, you tell me to stand in front of you on 1 foot for 3 days, I will do that. That's something I'll do. Probably you want me to do it, but don't ask me to do something which is not making sense to me. So respect is different from believing. A believing mind will never understand things for himself or herself. As simple as that. So there is a model that I want Nikhil to show, please. Right. Now, this is a model which I made just to make the point clear. We will put it on the WhatsApp group if you, so don't get into memorizing it. Whenever we get an information on experience, now being told by elder or somebody else, it's amount to the same thing, that this is something that we have received without understanding the human brain. Now, there are two ways of doing it. That one is that we could simply accept it, make it a belief, and begin to operate from there. Action. Now, generally an action, why have the superstitions continued? Because our practices have only confirmed our beliefs, and we have gone on and on with, chahe wo dahej ho, sati ho, all kinds of social evils. Okay, so important that just because we have repeated something doesn't become truth. It can be very frozen. In fact, I like to call it's a frozen life or ritualized existence. Okay, we have just created ourselves, and you see a lot of us never question. We are miserable, but we don't question. I believe that most of the India's problem is its overpopulation. But no politician has the guts to question people's belief that we should have less children. Okay, because they will turn around and say, who the hell are you? हमारे गांव में तो वो बोलते हैं कि अगर भगवान ने मुंह दिया है तो खाना भी दे ही देगा. Of course. So, but the human life is not just about food, and so a whole lot of problem. We are destroying nature because we are so many of us. So that is what it ends up. So if you look below, that is the blind acceptance leading to action, and that is a vicious cycle of frozen existence or ritualized existence or living with habit. Habit means unthinking actions. That is what. The alternative way of living for us would be that whatever we get, we examine, then we understand, and then we apply it. And then we constantly keep revisiting, constantly keep re-examining ourselves, our thinking, our reasoning, collect evidence. All right. So what is most important is that scientific temper. Hello. So scientific temper necessarily means operating from a reason, operating from openness, operating from evidences. Okay, and the evidence is not one-off experience of one individual. Evidence is something that exists repeatedly it doesn't change. Same thing can happen in India, in US, in China, wherever. That is what makes it evidence. Okay, it is not one person's or two persons. लोग बोलते हैं नहीं 4 बार मैंने किया 4 बार ऐसा हुआ. That still does not make it a scientific fact. All right. Yeah. So, Nikhil, yeah, we can close this. I had promised that I would share one important thing before we go on. Sorry, we're running late. I'll take 2 minutes more. Many people talk about astrology and the horoscope. The horoscope was talked about. So this is a very interesting study by Professor Narlikar and his group. So in Maharashtra and Karnataka, there has been these rationalist groups. They've done amazing work, and very reputed scientists. Professor Narlikar got his Padma Vibhushan at the age of 25 or 26. He was one of those great scientists. Okay, this guy is a physicist, all right? So what they did is that they wanted a question. So they collected, okay, 10 horoscopes of very gifted people, students, and 10 horoscopes of mentally disabled or mentally retarded students. And then they mixed up the horoscopes. And they called the top astrologers of Pune area. This happened in Pune, Bombay area, okay? And then he asked 3 questions, okay? It's very interesting. Sorry, no, not 3 questions. They asked, okay, you tell which are the bright students and which are not bright or retarded students. Can you believe that less than 50% of answers were incorrect? Now, if you and I were to guess, we would also, the possibility is that we'll get 50% correct, 50% incorrect, right? So now this is not my study. This is a study of very reputed scientists. Then they did another thing, and they did this many rounds because they wanted to make sure that no ghapla happens. Again, collected this multiple horoscopes, called the best thing, and they did 3 times. You know, in science, when we do experimentations and so on, we do it multiple times so there has to be enough number of samples, 1, then it has to be repeated times so that once you can go wrong, twice you don't know. They collected this and they asked many horoscopes, that they asked these reputed astrologers 3 questions. Okay, here the question: is this guy dead or alive? Married or unmarried? Remember, that's the question we asked, no? From astrologers, शादी कब होगी अगर हुई है तो अच्छा मिलेगा खराब मिलेगा. Third, male or female? On all 3 counts, okay, again less than 50% accurate, again and again. So now you can decide how scientific is astrology. Now we're talking about astrology. We are not talking about astronomy. Okay. Ram will add more. Dr. Ram Kumar. Yeah. Nikhil, go ahead.
Great, thank you, Vishnu. Now, I think we have one more poll, and we will just quickly do a agree and disagree on that, and then I would request Ram to come in and share his thoughts on that. So, everybody, are you ready for another poll? There are about 6 questions in one poll, and you only have to answer a agree or a disagree on that one. Okay. So here is where I'm launching the poll on your screen. The first poll is about and you just have to answer if you agree or disagree. Some mental illness become more acute on no moon Amavasya days. Do you agree or disagree? Second one is, we should not have sex education in schools. It corrupts children's mind. Do you agree or disagree? Question number 3 is, India's top science research institution, organization, which is ISRO, built when they built the PSLV rockets, they are PSLV 12 and 14. They skipped 13 because 13 is unlucky number. Being scientists, they did the right thing. Do you agree or disagree? Number 4, the menstrual cycle of women is directly linked to the lunar cycle. Do you agree or disagree? Number 5, all fat is bad for you. Do you agree, disagree? Last one is plants get their food from the soil. Do you agree or disagree? We'll wait for 20 more seconds. Okay, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 60% people have answered. So I will end the poll now. And here is the result on your screen. Take about a minute to go through what most people are saying.
All right, this is fun. Okay, I'm not going to say anything. ISRO to top mein ja raha hai.
Great. So let me invite Ram now. And Ram, would you like to share
Yes.
something or?
Yeah, maybe I'll add a few things. This ISRO thing, Vishnu mentioned, is a very interesting background history to it. It happened during Apollo missions, and during Apollo mission, when they were trying to land in the moon. I think if you look at the history, there were a lot of failures. It did not happen on the first attempt. There were more than 17 attempts done, and the 13th mission was a failure. It happened that when they were about to land, the fire happened and got bursted. Something happened. So somewhere in the community, among the space institutions, there is a belief that 13 is an unlucky number, and that number somehow that belief got into the scientific community. And this is a very interesting thing which Vishnu mentioned. With the vast increase in scientific knowledge, somewhere the scientific attitude is also perhaps coming down. This is a very interesting thing. Even the ISRO also, he mentioned, somewhere this not seems to working. People are not questioning, accepting the belief as it is. It is there prevalent in scientific communities. That is very important to note. Other thing I find it very interesting is something about the mental illness. I was reading one Australian journal. It mentioned even 82% of the mental professionals think that there is some relation between mental illness and no moon day, and this is prevailing among mental professionals, despite the repeated research is showing that there is no evidence to that. There is lack of evidence, but still this belief is strong. And I mean, I can keep on talking, go on other things, but this is these are the prevailing beliefs among the learned communities. The question is, why does such beliefs exist despite of so much awareness? That's something's always bothered me. Vishnu, you want to add anything?
No, go ahead. I would like to know a little bit of historical
Yeah, and
background.
another interesting thing is about the menstrual cycle and lunar cycle. It so happens that lunar cycle is also 28 days and the menstrual cycle is also related to 28 days. Somewhere people have built a correlation, and some sense it seems to work in some cases, and some cases it doesn't seem to work, and they have linked it. And that's prevailing in most of the Western countries. I mean, we don't know how this belief originate, but this is still prevailing. Though the research have shown that there is no linkages between the moon cycle to menstrual cycle of women, but somehow it is made to believe that there is some linkage. I think these are the certain things we need to keep on questioning constantly. That's the only way to examine.
So it strikes me, Ram, me that many of these beliefs teachers have also shared. For example, the last one, anybody who knows how the plants make their food knows that their food doesn't come from soil at all.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They may get some nitrogen,
so you'll
phosphorus.
Be shocked.
Yeah.
That it doesn't come. They actually tangibilize. They make food. that mass that you see from oxygen,
In the
from
presence of
nitrogen,
sunlight,
and
yeah.
from carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Okay, oxygen they need for survival. Okay, in presence of photons. Very interesting. So I was just thinking that a lot of these, it's possible to get out of these beliefs by knowing the truth of something, the scientific knowledge of it.
That's very
But
important.
it is not that simple, because the ISRO guys are supposed to be scientific guys.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
So it's not so simple, but I think we could keep pushing for rational thinking, for intelligent thinking. So maybe it would be a little bit of nice for us to, for you to share some of those things, that how some beliefs were prevalent and then how they changed over time.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Like how much?
Just a second. I think one thing that I was really struck by what Ram was sharing right now was this whole issue of correlation that we end up doing.
Yeah.
So one thing is happening somewhere, another thing is happening somewhere else, and we just put them together as cause and effect,
Yes.
not realizing
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
it's just coincidental that these two things are happening.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I think that is
So
where the role of
very true.
continuous observation, continuous examination, multiplicity of data, all of that should come in somewhere there.
Yeah. So very, very true. So coexisting, some things coinciding.
Very important.
Don't make them related.
Definitely,
And
that's a
it's
very,
just
very
as
important.
simple as that there could be brothers and sisters, staying together for 20 years and not connecting to each other emotionally, intellectually, etc., etc. I mean, they were born of the same person, but beyond that, they have no. So where is the relationship? What would you call a relationship between two people? In the same way, where the relationship, when two things just happen. I was passing by and somebody shot someone on the side. Now I was there, but does that make me part of it in terms of a cause? So those are the important things. So that is why science, legal things, they don't take the coexistence, something being together necessarily as evidence of being part of that. Yeah. Right. Go ahead. Nikhil?
Coming back, Vishnu, there is one more important thing.
We need to move.
Movie, because of the lack of time, WhatsApp group, people can watch a 8 minutes movie. But there is one important thing in that talks about. Is you think you want to show that? It's about 7 minutes.
No, I'm saying lack of time. So we will put can we put the link? You can tell a little bit about the video. We can put the link on the WhatsApp group, and you could show us some of the other slides that you wanted to talk about. The video can go in the WhatsApp group because
we could share it.
Long. Yeah. Hello. What happened?
I think Ram got.
I think Ram got dropped.
He's here. Yeah, he's joining.
No, he's
joining back.
host now.
Yes. So you can, Nikhil, you can share that.
Sure. The history of science, right?
The slide.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. In fact,
this one.
In the history of science, we have.
Ram, can you switch off your video? Can you stop your
video? Was very prominent. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah. Can you stop your video?
Yeah, I've stopped his video.
I think there is bad connection. Can
Hello?
you stop your video?
I think there's some network.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
We can't hear you again.
Hello.
He got disconnected.
Ram?
He got disconnected.
Okay. while he reconnects, okay. I think it is important we look at our textbook critically as well. Are they facilitating science? Very important. Komal has an interesting point. She's saying we should look at the textbooks critically as well. Are they facilitating scientific temperament? Very, very true. And I think, Nikhil, you have stopped my video for some reason.
No, I haven't.
No. It's working.
Okay.
Okay, can I continue?
Yeah, please continue.
Yes, I'm sorry. There is I stay in a remote area, so there's some network is not stable. Fine. So let's come back. Aristotle thought that Earth is the center, and all the planets, all the planets and all the stars circle Earth. In fact, this beliefs was so prominent; it prevailed for 1,000 years, and then even it influenced the early part of the Western scientific thought, and until Copernicus pointed out, saying, no, this is not the truth. In fact, Earth is part of the solar system, and Earth rotates around the sun. In fact, to accept this particular belief, which proponent by Copernicus, it took more than 100 years. In fact, the history of science is, having so much certain such kinds of beliefs where a particular person who is in authority has always taken a very, very powerful position, and people have blindly accepted that. Unless we don't question that, despite evidences, that particular belief prevailed. So you could see that we will share this YouTube link later on. You could see that in YouTube link there is a how exactly the thought of the solar system, which was prevalent in Aristotle to Copernicus till now in 21st century, how exactly the thought has progressed over a period of time, and you'll be surprised to know that a particular belief can stay if it is not questioned for 1,000 years as well. Can you believe that? But there is next slide I want you to show, Nikhil. There's another very interesting thing that has happened. Between America and Russia, there used to be a Cold War. You all know about that. Russians, when they launched that first satellite and Sputnik, and there was a lot of commotion even in America. That people started thinking we have been lost the race. The space race we have lost, and all the intellectual university professors got together and started questioning, saying that never America can't go down like that. Suddenly they put together, despite having the best talent, they put together all the talent. Within 10 years, with the political will, they revamp, rather transform their entire curriculum. So what you have as a science, as a process skill approach, a process approach to curriculum, looking at an American, even the Nuffield curriculum project started. So what you are talking about, an inquiry approach to science, the scientific method, as what we call as a inquiry as a pedagogy, started, took shape during those 1960s. So important thing is to realize, if you start questioning a belief, and if you have the the political will, and the community is sensitized to that, you could revitalize and revamp the system. So this is actually two contrasting example I wanted to just share. And then next slide, please, Nikhil. Yeah, I mean, in fact, our Prime Minister Nehru was the one who quoted extensively on the word scientific temper. In fact, he was the one who coined this word, and we have been talking about that. I don't want to read that. It's there in the Discovery of India, so you could read that. He's the one who don't believe anything, anything blindly. Question that. Without test, trial, without evidences, don't arrive at the conclusion. That's the crux of this. Next slide, please. Even in our Constitution of India, it's mentioned. This is a part of our value system. Constitution is not a document which is a dead document. It's a living document. It's a document with the values that we need to practice as a citizens of this country. So the question is, are we practicing and valuing those values cherished in our constitution? So in that sense, scientific temper is something which is already there. But why is that has not gone into the education system the way we have expected? Maybe is it the prevalent beliefs within the community, or within the teachers, within the parents? That is something we need to seriously examine. So taking in these things, even repeatedly, the varieties of various policies are mentioned. For example, I can share the next slide, Nikhil. In the National Education Policy, it talks about that. You can read that. We need to inculcate scientific temper in our curriculum. Otherwise, like we have created the silos. The art is different, sports is different, maths is different, but the child receives the knowledge as a whole. And this is something we need to question, these discipline-based assumptions. I think that's a very interesting things. You need to have the rational, analytical, and logical thinking in all aspects of the curriculum. It's not just in only science means only the scientific attitude. In arts, you don't have to have it. No, it has to be part of our day-to-day life. So that's the thing. Next, Nikhil. Yeah. Now the question comes in, we have been talking about these things. How do we really develop the scientific temper in children? I want people to, there is so much learned community here. This is something which is, already. It is not something which you don't know. But why is that we don't put these things into practice? Where exactly is something, belief that which Vishnu talked about is coming in our way in each of these 5 steps? Is a particular belief or particular thought holding us? What exactly holding each one of us at the level of individuals? I'm not going at the level of, the bigger system. I'm talking about at the level of individuals. Why is that we find it difficult to inculcate scientific temper among ourselves, among children? Maybe you could respond, you could share your thoughts in the chat box. So it'd be very interesting to read. People could share how exactly we can take it into the classroom.
Yeah, I think let's hear some thoughts from everybody.
Yes,
based on
I'm keen on listening.
Yeah. So yeah, an intelligent group here. Let's hear from everybody. What do you think are some simple ways in which we can develop scientific temper in classrooms? Let's put it in the chat. We have an interesting comment from Vivek also, saying scientific temper is as much about not rejecting a belief blindly as well. So yeah, I think again, talks about scientific temper there.
That's a very interesting one. It's a very deliberate action from the teacher.
Yeah.
You ask questions, show mistakes in the book.
Okay. So
yeah, go ahead.
Has this slide been covered completely?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, then we should close this. Right. So I think we have run out of time.
Can I just add one or two examples? Can I just show
from our curriculum?
Yeah, I just want to show
so
some
I think
examples.
Komal or somebody said that our curriculum or textbooks also have to be critically examined to show whether they teach scientific temper or they teach just blind acceptance of things, and that is very important. So when just give me a minute before you go. So maybe you prepare. So it's very important to understand that it is the belief may be coming from society and so on, but how we propagate blind acceptance of whatever is being told to us within our classroom. And that is where the biggest problem is, which we can address as teachers. So teachers are in a position to actively nurture questioning, understanding, examination, investigation. We can do that. Okay, parents cannot. Okay, I mean, unless there are some enlightened parents who work with their teachers, with their children. But as teachers, we can do that. So let's understand that very clearly, that if we teach children to accept something without understanding, which is what we call rote learning, then we are actively propagating unscientific mind. So it is important. So thank you, Komal, for pointing that out, that our textbooks or whatever materials we use, the way we teach, as teachers, we have to be alert that we don't teach children to accept something without understanding something, without examining it, without really seeing the relationship, whatever relationship exists, okay? But we must see that relationship. They must come to see it before they can say, okay, I understand that. So that is an important thing. Angie is going to give some examples of some from our curriculum where we we actively propagate scientific thinking or inquiry and questioning. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a minute. So something that Ram was sharing, I thought I just happened to have this example with me. How scientific temper needs to be questioned, not just in science, need to be brought about not just in science, but other subjects also. So this is part of one of the Hindi units of grade 4 or grade 5. I think it's grade 4. Yeah, grade 4 from our curriculum, where this particular section is talking about this short story where there's some rishi or some baba who comes to the locality and he cuts a nimbu in front of somebody's house और उसमें से खून निकलता है. So he says that, you guys are cursed and we have to do this, and the curse will go away. So that's the story. And then after the story, the children are made to do an experiment to actually see a nimbu mein se khoon jo nikalta hai, what is it? What is the chemical reaction that's happening? What is the chemical present? So that's something that's part of the book. Wait, are you able to see it in the slideshow mode, Naina?
No. Yeah, we can see.
But not in slideshow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we can,
Yeah. So similarly, looking at different kinds of things. Yeah. So this is where the experiment is. So one is the introduction of, this kind of an incident, if whether you've seen something like this happening, and then actually trying it out at home, in your school as an experiment and seeing what it comes from. What is that chemical reaction that goes on? So the idea that someone was talking about, that scientific temper has to come from everyday beliefs also being questioned, what they are seeing around them continuously being talked about, questioned. Now this what you see in front of you is a concept cartoon that we have in the beginning of the unit States of Matter in our grade 5 book of science. You look at what these different characters are saying. One is saying molecules of the same substance in different states have different properties. It's a very generic statement to make कि हाँ सब में अलग अलग होता है, 3 states होते हैं and all of them are different. Then the interpretation of that, of these 3 children, which is very amazing. And you will actually see these kinds of interpretations come out in the classroom when you ask them what they think. So he says, you mean ice molecules are cold and hard? So then the other one is saying, so solid का definition बच्चे के दिमाग में क्या बन रहा है? Cold and hard. Similarly, water molecules are expanded, larger and softer. So that's the definition of liquid the child is perceiving over there and talking about. And then gaseous state ka interpretation, right? And water vapor molecules are very large and squashy. When you present something like this to children, it opens up this, that whatever they are thinking, they can talk about it. Whatever their belief is, they can talk about it. Whatever they have heard people say. So a lot of the times we also do that activity where solid mein sab paas paas chipak ke khade ho jate hain. So it's like children beginning to believe that when you're in a group, then you are solid. When you're standing alone, then you are gas. Those are the kinds of misconceptions that can get formed. But these kinds of opportunities of discussion help children to actually assess what is it really, open up their own beliefs and not feel stupid about anything. I'm sorry for using that word right now, but that is one of the biggest fears that most of us have about sharing anything, that I don't want to look silly in front of everybody else. And that's a fear that has to be confronted as part of building scientific temper in children, that nothing that you say is going to be silly. No question that you ask is silly. So you go ahead, share, and explore things, examine things. The third thing that I wanted to share, I'm just going to share just one more example, which are these misconception alerts that we have in our science books. So most of the times we're telling each other and we're telling people around us and children around us, your mouth smells when you don't brush. Not always true. Of course, it is true when you haven't brushed for like 2 days, 3 days, but not always true. There, a lot of the times you haven't had water and your mouth has gone dry and it begins to have a bad breath, and just drinking water might just change a lot of things. So some of these misconception alerts, after a lot of exploration, have been inserted in the curriculum just to bring about awareness that there is a possibility of these kinds of misconceptions happening. While we were discussing this webinar, I think one more thing that we were talking about is, so how do we bring about children's beliefs into conversation in the classroom? So one of the things we said was that, every unit that you are starting in your classroom, every unit that is connected to their real life. So let's say you're starting food, let's say you're starting water, let's say you're starting anything, any unit that you're starting. If you can ask them to write down on a chart or something, what all have you heard people tell you about this? So about food, what have people told you about this? What does mama tell you about this? What does papa tell you about this? What does dadi tell you about it? Whatever. The idea is not so much focus on the person, but the idea is to give them a context to begin sharing. They'll come up with a whole list of things that they have heard about food. And then during the course of exploration of that particular theme, you can go about checking back with children. So now do you think this particular belief that you'd written down over there, whether that's true or not true? What part of it is true, if any part of it is true? Or how is it true? Because it's also not, I think Mr. Vivek Sohal pointed out, it's also not about saying that this is right and this is wrong. It's about understanding when what is right, why is it right? If this is wrong, then why is this wrong? So yeah, so that was something that I thought we could just go about quickly, and I think we should close now. We're really running out of time.
Yes, I think those are great examples, Angie. I think these are really the ways in which we can challenge and bring about this learning in classroom. I loved watching all of this. Thank you very much, Vishnu, for sharing so many examples, and Ram from your side also, very insightful. I think to close all of this, what is I think one thought that comes into your mind, everybody, one takeaway or one thought that comes to your mind after having this discussion on scientific temper? And what's interesting is, when we were preparing for this, I got to know that this is also in our constitution, like Ram was talking about. The only constitution in the entire world is India, where it says, where Jawaharlal Nehru had put that every citizen must develop scientific temper. And it's an irony that we still see that people believe so many things just because they are given a little trigger or some fear. But yeah, I am very inspired to know that our constitution also talks about it, and the national education policy now talks about it. So yes, everybody, what is one thought that comes to your mind after attending all of this, after having this insightful discussion? One takeaway, please share in the chat box. And while you share, I will open up the closing slide where we will talk to you about the next webinar. So, okay, we're hearing you can believe something only when you have tried it. Okay.
Yeah. So Nikhil, before oh, just half a second, half a minute. So I want to express my gratitude to all of you for being active. I mean, many people have told me that these are interactive sessions. Okay, normally webinars where a large number of people join in and they are totally, lost. I mean, there is no. So I like to see people interacting, see people. I mean, it's good to see and hear what you're saying. So thank you for being here, and we will continue to do. This is a good tradition that we have started, good practice, not a habit, but practice, and we will continue to do it. It's a gift from the COVID-19 that has come to us, and I'm happy that we made use of this. So my gratitude to all of you, and we will see you again in the next one that Nikhil is going to show. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Vishnu. Very interesting comments coming in. And here is the last slide, announcement for our next webinar. And this is how we say, okay, tata, bye bye.
जूता नहीं लटकाया है.
Great. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Can we have the videos on for people now? Let's take a picture before people exit. Nikhil, can you stop the screen share? Yeah, thank you. Videos on, everyone?
Yes, ma'am. It's on.
It was lovely having all of you here. Thank you so much. Okay, everyone. Bye-bye. We hope to see you in the next session on 30th of January.
Thank you. Hi, Tika.
Thank you very
Sandhya, we
much.
can't hear you.
19th, can you hear me now? 19th Jan, I think there's one more session, 19th.
No, our next session is on 30th.
30th, okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am, how do we register for that? Can you just share the PDF of it?
Yeah, I'll just share the link in some time. Just give me until, so we'll keep the WhatsApp group active until tomorrow, and we'll share the link on that WhatsApp group.
Sure, sure. Thank you, ma'am.